some of the things we're doing. So this is an example of a composite unit. So we don't do all of this stuff in any one unit. So I just tried to shove in as much as I could here. And there's a few things missing. And I'm only going to talk to you about a few of these things. But each one of our units has a topic, like water, food. And the students are in teams by the time we start these units. And the way, the framework that we have it right now, and we could change this, but it seems to be working, is the students are assigned a US city. That's their case study, so to speak. And we just do this by, I think about what cities we're going to use, of course, and then just write the names on a piece of paper and they pull them out of an envelope. So they don't feel like oh crap, I got San Diego, but you didn't assign it to me, I picked it. And then they have to write a proposal to come up with a sister city in the developing world. So we have 20 teams, and we have 4 teams working on San Diego, for example, but all 4 of those teams have a different developing world city. So there's about 2/3 of the project, we have 4 teams working on exactly the same thing, but they have about 1/3 that's independent and completely different. So they can't completely copy off of each other. But it turns out, unfortunately, they don't talk to each other at all. And I'm working on that. So I'm just going to go through some of these things and kind of describe to you how it works. And I have to emphasize that this is a work in progress. I mean, it's never going to end. This is an infinite loop kind of thing. And nothing ever works perfectly the way you want it to. Sometimes you drop it, sometimes you bring something else in, and you can't do everything. So once you've filled up your class and you want to bring something else new in, you might have to get rid of something. So let's go. So I want to start with the first day of a project unit. And I might give a little mini lecture. So mini lectures are about 15 minutes of content to try to provoke some interest, some aha stuff. And what I have started to deal with is this, we know this already kind of stuff. So we started doing an assessment right at the beginning. So if you know it all, prove it. And it's not to me, don't prove it to me, prove it to yourself. So the first question on this assessment, and we just did one on Monday of this week actually, and I thought it was a blast. The students really seemed to think it was fun too. First question, rate yourself. We're going to start on energy. How smart are you? And they're all right here. They already know all this stuff. These are engineering students. They know more about energy than I do. So then, just as an example, here's the third question. What's the efficiency of an internal combustion engine? Multiple choice. And, this is part of a later lecture, but, if the energy flows through here, how much of it actually ends up pushing the wheels of the vehicle? I mean, internal combustion engines are widespread. We use them, you're engineers, a quarter of my class, or 10% of the mechanical engineering students and chemical engineering students, they should know this stuff, right? So it's 24%. So 6 questions plus the, rate your knowledge at the beginning. That's it. It takes 10 minutes. And then what I had them do is for each one of these questions, in parentheses, you have to put a confidence ranking. And I learned this through the IMPACT program, by the way. This was not my idea. I didn't think of this. I'm not that smart. It was from a seminar from an IMPACT speaker, and I adapted it to my class, but the general idea is not mine. I don't remember who the gentleman was that talked about this, but it was brilliant. So they have to write a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 next to their answer, like, internal combustion engine is 47% efficient, and I am absolutely certain, so I put a 5 by that. And then they find out they're wrong. And I don't have to rub their nose in this because, you know, they know it. So what we do after this is then I give them an extra piece of paper and I say, okay, we're going to do the quiz again, only now you're going to do it as a team. And you have these confidence rankings so you can decide which one of your team members are going to do this. And you say, have you do it all over again? And then I went through and revealed all the answers. And then I don't need to do anything else. You know, we've kind of set the stage. Gee, maybe I don't really know everything. So I asked them. I used hot seat, and this is the question. Now that you've completed this assessment, write a comment about your knowledge. Just what do you think about this? And so these are some examples of comments. I grabbed this when I had only had 28. But you know, you look at this. I did not know. I was very misinformed. I had no idea. I was very surprised. I didn't know. So I think this is important to kind of set the stage at the beginning of the unit. You don't know anything, or you don't know as much as you know. So maybe now you will open that sponge up in your head and learn something. I had a lot of fun with this. So the other thing we do, and this is Lindsay Payne's insistence, and she's so good for me because she's so organized. Lindsay is my TA, and she's just wonderful. She's been working with me since the very beginning of this redesign, and I would not be where I am without her. So the students get this schedule. This is all the stuff we're doing. And this is on Blackboard, so they know what's happening every day. They know what all the due dates are. They know everything, and they have no right to complain, even though they do. But they have no right to say that something is a surprise. And we also give them an assignment and the rubric that is going to go with the assignment. So let's see. Then on the next day, after they've had the assignment since then, but they haven't actually looked at it, of course. I actually show them an assignment in class, and then I force them to use hot seat again. And as a team, I want you to ask a question about the assignment, because I've noticed, and this is another thing about students changing, students don't ask me any questions anymore. Last semester, I had one student out of 100 come to my office once an entire semester, and she came because I had had a help session because I thought things were going so badly in this one unit that I said, I'm having a help session 2 nights in a row, and I had given them very poor scores on a project. And I said, if you want to redo them, you can redo them and resubmit them, and I will help you. So the students, I've hired some of these really good students that actually showed up this help session this semester. They're in my class as peer TAs. They told me last week, or right before spring break, they told me at this help session that I was furious. And I said, no, I wasn't furious. I wasn't angry. I was frustrated. They said, no, you were mad. And so anyway, after this help session, one student came to my office to follow up. The only student who came to my office the entire semester. They just do not ask any questions anymore. So I use hot seat. It's a requirement. You have to get together with your teammates. You have to think of a question. And this is their reason for not asking questions. I hear this all the time. If I already know it, or if I think I know it, why would I ask a question? So we also do some skills sessions. Most of these are in the beginning of the class. You know, how to do research, how to assess information. You know, the libraries has a really great document on information literacy, team building. You know, something to do. Just so it kind of sets expectations. And so this is our class. This is Hicks. And, you know, we love our columns, cement columns. And students, this is a work day, and you can see a lot of students have laptops. They're told to bring them. And then, you know, this happens too. And, you know, I don't know what to do about this, because I form these teams with students, you know, and there's at least 2 students in every team that have made a commitment to bring a laptop to class on work day. And I just don't know, you know, and there's no paper here or anything. So this is not one of the high-performing teams. I can tell you that. All right, so another thing we do is, we call it, you know, the so what days. So we put together, it's like a workshop. Do something where you get some answers, calculate some answers. They love calculating answers. But I tell them, you know, getting the answer is only the beginning. It's what does the answer mean that really matters. And so, you know, here's some examples. What they're doing here is they're calculating how many people the world could feed depending on how much meat is being eaten. And the answers are, you know, if everybody eats like Americans, the world can support about 3 billion people. And we already have 7. So obviously not everybody is eating like Americans. And what if everybody just ate chicken instead of beef? And what if everybody just ate rice and lentils and didn't eat meat at all? Well, then the world could easily support 10 billion people who gave up meat. And why is this? And, you know, what are the ramifications of this? So this is the stuff that we want to talk about after you get these answers, because they are so accustomed to calculating, getting an answer, that's the end of it. Right? And that's not the end of it. That's not what thinking is about. Thinking is about getting an answer and then connecting it to other information and coming up with some action from it, isn't it? I mean, wouldn't you agree? So, but we don't teach them to do that. And I used to teach this other classes, a biology class, and on an exam I would set things up. Every year I gave them this question. I would tell them in advance I had a trick question. They would calculate an answer that was physically impossible. They would write it down and go on to the next problem. And it just drives me crazy. So another thing that we do is just to try to get students engaged with the fact that this is a global thing is, and this is one of Lindsay's ideas, is we have the students write a very short essay, 25 words, 30 words, about a time in their life when they were deprived of resources and how they felt. How did you feel? Describe that experience. And we have a lot of international students, some coming from the developing world, who have these very heart-wrenching stories. And some of them are pretty amazing. Like, you know, we ate my brother's dog. You know, we didn't have water for a week. My mother almost died because she couldn't take her medicine because we didn't have water. Stuff like, you know, really bad stuff. You know, I was in a war. You know, and then we have students from Indiana, bless their heart. We had an ice storm. The power went out. We made popcorn, played Monopoly. It was really my favorite family memories. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be writing an essay about deprivation. I'm sorry. So it's wonderful. I mean, so because they realize, so then what Lindsay does is she collects these stories and anonymizes them and then passes them out in the class and gets a student to read them out loud. And the students, it's just the most amazing experience. They just go, wow, there's somebody in my class that has had this experience. You know, they've been in a war or they've really had hardship. And these are real people, and they're my classmates. And they don't always know, but sometimes the students will identify themselves. And it just brings the sustainability issues home. And it's really kind of fun. All right. So now moving more to the end of a unit. So the projects are due on this day. And as I mentioned, we have 4 teams all working on the same thing, or at least 2/3 of their project is the same thing. So we call these pods because what we do is we take the teams apart and reform. So you have to volunteer one person from each team to go into this pod, and you have to work on something. You have to compare the work you're doing to the work that the other teams are doing, and you have to figure out why you don't have the same information. And hopefully you'll figure it out and you'll do so well that your projects are going to improve, because you're allowed to share information as long as you write your own project. You can share sources, you can tell people what you found as part of this investigation that you've been assigned to work on. So this is a picture of some students that they're using the huddle boards in the class, drawing these schematics, and this is the information we have. And it doesn't work as well as I would like. I'm still working on this, but they understand what's going on. So I'm calling this collaborative synthesis. And then the next day the projects are due, and some more students discussing why their answers are all different. Well, we use Wikipedia. Well, we didn't. And then once the assignments, actually here the assignments aren't due for about another 12 hours, so we still have a chance. But they're presenting their work. So this is actually Dallas presenting to the rest of the class that isn't working on Dallas, Texas. All right. So, and then the last day is unit wrap-up day. Projects have been submitted. They haven't been quite graded yet, but there's issues we have to talk about. Stuff that just comes up. We take notes about maybe questions that weren't answered to our satisfaction, or just some other issues. And then what I started doing, and this is definitely a work in progress, is doing an individual assessment. So just a 10-minute non-graded assessment. And I'm always slipping up in class calling things quizzes. Quizzes are graded, assessments are not. And I tell the students, I'm assessing me. I want to know what you learned. So this is not a quiz about you. This is an assessment of me. And in fact, to make it, to confirm this, I did one right before spring break. I said, imagine for the next 10 days you can be anyone in the world you want. Anyone. Write that name down on the assessment. I want it to be anonymous. And just because I want it to be fun too, to see who they want it to be. So, unfortunately a lot of them want to be country singers. That disturbs me. Anyway, it's fun. So these are very open-ended things. Just show me what you can do in 10 minutes. And I have to be honest, I don't like what I'm seeing. So we still have work to do.